Oh, you didn't know? I got some electrifying news, folks. I am helping out the guys at Cal, Mike, and Tyler, and that's the bottom line because I said so. But once again, go like and share Cal, Mike, and Tyler on Facebook, Spotify, Instagram, and YouTube.
Well, we are live, pals. Welcome to one more edition of the Bill After Sealed to Approve, counted out with Mike and Tyler. Of course, my name's Mike, but this week, Tyler once again is taking a step back, and that's okay because I have a very special guest this week. If you are someone who watches a lot of Northland wrestling in the North Bay area, you know him as Ray Beauchamp. If you're an old school fan of the indie scene, you might know him as Ray Malice. I will always know him as both X-Ray and my brother. Ray Beauchamp, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, brother. Glad to be here, man.
It's been a long time coming. We've been talking about doing this probably since my previous show.
It's been a long time, yeah.
But I couldn't handle having both you and Danny at the same time. That's just a migraine waiting to happen.
I'd have to agree.
All right, so there's so many topics that we got to hit on. There's so many things that we want to talk about because, like we said off air, I have no intention of this being a formal interview. While you are a former professional wrestler and you definitely fit the bill of people we get on this show on a regular basis, because of our relationship, I want the show to be very different. I want us to, this is going to be a little bit more personal than most of the interviews we do. That doesn't mean I don't want to hit on your wrestling career because you have an extremely interesting story that I don't think enough people know about. A lot of people just, he's the guy that we used to see at Northland, or hey, I remember him from back in 2001. You know what I mean? They know that stuff. They don't know they don't know the ins and outs. They don't know how you got started. They don't know why you went away for as long as you did, and they don't know how you were able to come back. Lots to talk about. So here's the thing. Just like a lot of interesting characters, you really have three stories. You have three careers we can talk about. We can talk about your first wrestling career, your second wrestling career, and my personal favorite, your backyard career. Where do we start today, Ray?
I think today would make the most sense to start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Which would be 1997.
I was gonna say, well, I was born Michael Jemima Walsh.
Jemima.
Going back too far. Yeah, I'd like to think my parents called me Jemima at first. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why.
You're a weird dude, man.
Weird dude. Yeah, let's go. In 1997, we hadn't met yet,
no,
but I had already been doing some things. Back in 95, me and some mutual friends of ours started wrestling in local parks in our town, which turned into the aforementioned 1997, where we started our very first ever backyard wrestling federation, I guess you could call it. We called it the ETWA. The Extreme Technical Wrestling Association, yet there was nothing extreme nor technical about anything that we did.
There was hardly any wrestling, if we're being honest.
Exactly. But damn, was it good times. We were only about 15, 16 years old, and we had the time of our lives. Which brings us into 1998, when I go to I've talked about this on the show before, but I go to my very first show, and this is 1998, just a month ago. It was February. And we just hit this anniversary. I go to my very first indie show, and of course, in the crowd, I meet one of my closest, oldest friends now, in Adam Colton,
who at the time was like my best friend.
Your best friend.
we always had plans on getting into wrestling together, and just,
Hmm.
we were huge fans. I'm here in North Bay, and he was. Where were you watching this show?
I was in Englehart.
Okay, so that show was in Englehart. Okay, continue.
Yeah. That was the very first, and as far as I know, the last time Englehart ever hosted wrestling. And of
Hmm.
course, this is 1998. This is the boom, right?
Yeah,
This is well, February of '98. I guess that's right before WrestleMania 14. So this is the beginning of the boom, right? Like
yep.
we're coming off the heels of DX, where Stone Cold Steve Austin is just becoming a megastar. The Attitude Era is becoming what it's about to become. This is one of the hottest times in professional wrestling. So of course, it actually comes to our crappy little town. We fill 60 people in that little crummy gymnasium, and we get the Suicide Blondes versus the Bushwhackers. If I'm not mistaken,
I
you saw this same show on this same tour in North Bay, did you not?
know it was in Sturgeon Falls is where I seen it, but yes, I did to see the same tour.
Okay,
I
yeah.
I got to see Bushwhackers versus it was they weren't called this at the time, but it was Christian and Test.
Well, that
Um,
so that's what I saw as well. It was the
yeah,
Suicide Blondes, except they replaced Sexton Hardcastle with Martin Kane. Yeah,
yeah.
because apparently I remember the what we were told by Ike Shaw, the promoter, was that Sexton Hardcastle, Edge, Adam Copeland, he had a torn rotator cuff and couldn't make the show. Now this is February of '98. By April of '98, he's in WWE TV. So adult me looks back now going, torn rotator my ass. WWE told
Yeah,
me he wasn't allowed to go. That's exactly what happened,
yeah.
you know?
It
But,
was just 98, and we didn't have access to all that information back
no,
then.
we didn't. I think the only dirt sheet out there was the Observer, and we didn't even have access to that.
Yeah,
You know, thank
yeah,
God.
yeah. So yeah, you and Adam met at that show in the crowd, right? Like, was it
Mhm.
in line or something? But you guys met that show.
I think what happened was, so we there was a dinner before the show, and we were lucky enough, we were gifted a private dinner with the Bushwhackers. So me, James, Dean, Jesse, we got to go sit and have dinner with Luke and Butch, which was very cool.
That
So we
that's
had
cool.
our own little private table where the rest of the wrestlers sat at this big long table eating dinner. Which, now that I'm in the business, well, not in the business, but now that I'm around the business a lot more, that's kind of weird. You don't see that. The wrestlers don't go for dinner together right before the show. I've never seen that again since. So that's maybe it's because it was the only restaurant in town, and they were in a town of 900 people. Maybe that's what that was. But
Maybe.
off to the side, there was another table with this young kid who would turn out to be Adam Contant, and he noticed I was wearing a fucking Sunny t-shirt. It has a t-shirt with Sunny on it, Tammy Sitch on my t-shirt.
Yeah.
God damn, oh, so bad. And he goes, "Is she gonna be at the show?" And I said,
Oh,
"Oh,
Adam.
you."
And that's how
Do
it
you come?
started.
Do you come with the car?
Oh, you.
Oh, you. But that's the first thing he said to me. And then we ran into him again in line, started making jokes. I thought I was funny back then, and I brought a sign with me that just said DDP. And I would randomly start holding up this DDP sign, and Adam would be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And he thought it was funny. So we ended up chatting through the whole show. We told him about everything that we did, because we were really building something with WWE at the time. Or no, we were building something with ETWA at the time. We were starting to do live shows in Englehart. We were wrestling in front of crowds. We were
You
getting
guys had
more and
tapes
more.
in the local video
We,
store. You can rent
we had
tapes.
you could rent our tapes in the local stores. Yeah, not just in Englehart either, in like surrounding towns.
Yeah.
So that was really really cool. And so we're proud of ourselves, obviously. So we're bragging to this kid, and he was a kid. We were 16. I think he was 14. We were
Younger than that.
bragging.
I was 14 when I first showed up, so he was younger than that. He was probably 13.
He probably, because he was in grade 8. He was still in grade 8, going to that Catholic school in Cobalt, St. Pat's. Is that what it was? I remember that.
Probably. It's a school I went to too.
So he was still attending that school. So yeah, he was in grade 8, which I guess makes you 13. Right? Yeah, I guess so. So that's it. He's a fucking kid. But he liked us, so that's enough for us. We ended up, getting his phone number and his address, apparently, because I remember him writing me letters by snail mail. We didn't have email and shit. He used to write me
so
letters.
Old. Yeah.
He used to write me letters, and I'll never forget this. I don't even think he probably doesn't remember this. He wrote me a letter once, and halfway through his letter, it all trailed off, and he pretended that Butthead from Beavis and Butthead took over the letter. It's very funny. I think back at that shit, like, holy fuck. But yeah, so we maintained a friendship over the next 6 months via letters and long distance phone calls. I know nobody knows what those are anymore, that now that your cell phone calls fucking Guatemala for free. But to call the next town over costs to get fucking $2 a minute. So I used to get so much shit for calling at him. But that's how we maintained our friendship. And then by July of 1998, we invited Adam to his first show. Said, you got to come check this out if you really want to come be part of this. And he did, but he didn't come alone.
Nope. He reached out to me and he's just like, hey, he talked about you guys like it was this huge deal too. He was so pumped about it, and he was just like, I talked to you, I met these guys, it's so cool, but he didn't really tell me what we were doing. But he was just like, at first it was, I have a surprise for you. Like, and I'm just like, okay, so when you come visit next, I was in North Bay at the time. And he's like, when you come visit next, I got this huge surprise. So I'm like, okay, awesome. And then I get there, and then like he says, we're going to Englehart for the show. So we basically just had to kind of grab whatever clothes we had. So I didn't really have anything that would be like a costume or anything like gear wise. It was just a random multicolored shirt and these weird green shorts that I was wearing that day. And I was just like, okay. But then we got to Englehart and he's hyping it all up. And then we pull in to your place, right?
And explain your, because we've never talked about this. Explain your reaction. What do you see when you walk into my backyard? Was the ring already set up?
Yeah, the ring was set up.
Tell the fans what that would look like.
Oh man, at my age, if I would have walked in and seen that, I probably would have turned around and walked right the hell out again. But I thought it was one of the greatest things I ever seen. It was just like some gym mats and like extension cords for ropes around.
I think I think we have a bunch of tent poles with orange extension cords going around it. Yeah.
And it was basically for look, right? Like you couldn't really do anything with these ropes.
You couldn't run the ropes or anything, no.
But Adam and I thought that it was like such a cool thing to see, because like we were just like, we always dreamed of like meeting people that were as huge fans like us, but we didn't really know a lot of people like that back then.
No.
So then when I got there, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. And I was so excited. I didn't meet Dekker that day, but I met Dean.
No, Dekker and I were not getting along that particular day. He didn't want to do a show that weekend. And we were adamant, like, no, we do shows every fucking weekend. We don't miss shows. We wrestled every weekend back then. Every weekend.
No off season.
52 weeks a year. We wrestled every single Saturday or Sunday. Every week. It didn't matter if if it was raining out. It didn't matter if it was snowing out. It didn't matter. We wrestled. The only thing
I don't remember if it was a weekend or not, but I do remember December 31st, 1999. I can't remember if that was a weekend or not, but I remember doing a show. Yeah. But I remember doing a show like Millennium Madness.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have to be a weekend because we would have been on break from school, right? So yeah, it's very possible it wasn't on a weekend. But the only thing
But
that would
yeah,
stop us,
there was no off season.
sometimes it would get so cold that the camera would freeze and shut off.
Yeah.
So that, that would obviously put a damper on things. But otherwise, if it was pissing rain, you'd have somebody like huddled over the cameraman with an umbrella, or you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
we went. So this particular, I don't remember why he didn't want to go. There's a reason he didn't want to go. We're like, okay, well, we're still gonna go. And we used to do this at his house.
Yeah.
Well, we still want to wrestle. Well, good luck, because you're not coming to my house. I'm like, okay. So we showed up to his house. We took the ring down and we took it to my house. And fuck, was he pissed? and then
Yeah.
Redden, our good friend Jesse Redden, Redden was playing the middleman. He was being the in between guy, being like, you know, I understand why you're mad at Mike. Let's talk about it. And he gets himself into Dekker's house so he can steal the camera. Yeah. So, yeah, Dekker wasn't the happiest with me that day.
No, I
But
bet not.
so you probably wouldn't meet Dekker for another several months, another
Yeah,
six
it was
months probably.
March 99.
March 99. Wow.
Yeah.
So a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've only attended 5 ETWA shows back then, which sounds kind of crazy, but it's true. I only did a couple. Like
I think Dekker was Dekker only at like 2 or 3 of them.
um
Because
yeah,
wasn't there one that we went, wasn't there one we did, nobody showed up? It was like you, me, and
yeah. So we just did like a Who's Line Is It Anyway and just kind of messed
yeah,
around,
yeah.
and we did a
I
battle
think,
we
it
did a
was,
battle
I think it was
royal.
you, me, Rob, and Dean. Yeah.
No, it was me, you, Rob, and Adam.
Oh, not even Dean showed up.
Yeah, not even Dean for
Jesus.
that one. And then, because I remember that was the debut of the legendary Spider Bolton.
Oh my God. What could have been with that character, man? I still say Spabble.
Me too. I've been trying to find
If
that Downhill Willie movie. I can't find it anywhere.
if I would have not been a pussy back in the day, taken the offers that I got to train and gone into the indies, I would have been Spider Bolton. That
That
would
would
have
have
been
been
my
great.
indie character for sure. Spider Bolton, what a great name. I so yeah,
So,
so we're at the show in July. You and Adam show up and we're just like, all right, man, this is what we do. We kind of lay it out. Now back then, we didn't know our ass from our elbow. We didn't know how to book matches. We didn't know how to write
yeah.
scripts. We didn't know anything. We were just like, okay, so you're gonna wrestle that guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Who's winning?
Mm,
Whoever wins.
just go out there.
Yeah,
Yep.
just go. And that's how we did things.
Yeah. Not that it was so much like a like shoot as in like, actually, trying to hurt somebody
No,
or anything, but it
no,
was more like go out there, get the feel of it, and
but
then
but
you
there
feel
was a
whether you
lot of
should.
but there was a lot of competition. Certain guys, especially if it came down to like me and Dean or Dean and Jesse, or even me and Dekker, if you want to pin the guy, you better fucking pin the guy. He's not going
Yeah.
to stay down. You know what I mean?
Didn't you? Wasn't a
We
match that lasted over 2 hours because of that.
yes. Now, usually, except for times like that, usually there was a mutual respect thing. If you hit your finisher clean on a guy, the guy would stay down. Usually,
Okay. Yeah.
but sometimes egos prevailed, and it wouldn't be until years later, and we'll get to this soon, when we um, reinvigorated our backyard careers, where I'm like, oh yeah, this is what we're supposed to be doing. This is how it's supposed to be. This isn't real. But that's what we knew back then. We
Yeah.
understood that wrestling wasn't MMA. We understood that
Mhm.
wrestling was scripted to a degree, but we didn't know how it was done. We
Yeah.
didn't understand, and we didn't know the terms yet. We didn't know, Booker. We didn't know anything about psychology. we knew that they were characters, and we knew that we wanted to write these characters. And goddamn,
and
did
have
we
fun.
write some characters and have fun?
And we had so much fun doing it. Like
Yes.
some of it I look back on and cringe a little bit because I mean that's always
Speak,
going to happen when you get older. But
Speaking of characters, I know you have a very good memory, so I know you'll remember. Now
it's iffy sometimes.
you came out. I don't even think you were X-Ray yet. I think you just came out
No.
as Ray this show,
Yep.
right? You were just Ray.
Yep.
Yeah, you weren't even
Yep.
X-Ray yet, but you had another character at this show. Do you remember your luchador character?
I thought you were going to talk about Reaper,
I was
who
getting,
became
I'm
Solstice.
I'm
But
getting there.
yeah,
But
I remember.
we had a luchador tag team there. I believe their names were El Salvador and El Lasso Wipeout.
Yeah, that was me.
I'll let you guess which one Ray was.
Yeah, yeah. It was
And
El Lasso
were you wearing
Wipeout.
were you basically wearing underwear on your face as luchador masks?
No. It was old school, like early '90s WWF bed sheets that were cut up, and we cut up eye holes. So if you actually look at them hard, you'll see like LOD and like Hogan
Nice.
and the WWF block.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we just made it look really cheap. The shoelaces on the back and cut holes in the eyes, and we just went out there and just acted like buffoons. And if for some reason it was really funny and it just kind of stuck. As much as I would like to take credit for inventing the name El Lasso Wipo, I didn't invent that. It was a skit on Mad TV.
Yes, yeah.
And then Adam was supposed to be Senor Bagel Crap, but he was too. He thought it would be embarrassing. He didn't want to do that, so he ended up just being El Salvador. Well, so he thought it was something cool. Well, I was El Aso fucking Wipo. So I'm like, well, I'm not giving up that name now, right? So it just kind of stuck, and I was like, I have to be a joke with this. So I tried to just be silly and funny with it, but it ended up being ridiculous for sure. But it was fun.
This would be apropos moving forward when we start talking the rest of our backyard careers. But I believe you picked up your first backyard victory over me that day.
Was it over you?
Yeah.
I know that we did have. I know we did have a match that day, but
because we ran an angle. Because I think Dean and I were feuding at the time, and you and Dean decided. Dean liked your look. I remember Dean thinking you had like an X-Pac kind of look, because you had the long dark hair, and I remember him thinking that you would fit into his, because he was trying to do the whole Degeneration X style gimmick. I think he was doing. I think his exact name was EDGX. Yeah, horrible. But he saw you, and right away he's like, oh yeah, that guy. You fit that image very much, which is funny because you would go on to call yourself X-Ray, which would fit the gimmick so much more. I can't believe we didn't think of it on that day. But because I was feuding with Dean at the time, I believe we ran an angle where Dean got to choose my opponent, and he chose you, and you ended up going over on me that day, and that really started. It really started something special on many fronts, because even though you said you were only at 5 shows, we kept you in storylines. We talked about you and Adam's characters a lot.
I remember those long distance bills calling you guys, wanting to hear about, like, hey, what's what happened on the show this week? What happened this week?
We kept you. We wanted to keep your characters relevant so that when you came back, it would make sense. Which is funny because at the time we thought watching ETW was was like watching WWE. The people at Scott's Video renting our tapes, no one cared about the storylines. I don't know what they cared about, but it wasn't the storylines or the wrestling or the quality. I don't know, but people watched it, man, and people would come because we used to do those live shows. We packed a gym, and they didn't have to. It wasn't a mandatory thing, but we packed the Englehart gym doing a live show once. We
got video proof.
we performed a halftime show for the year-end soccer game, and people could have fucked off for that, but no, people stayed and they cheered, and it was
You guys put on a
hell of a good
show at
time,
the
man.
30-hour famine.
The 30-hour famine. That was the first time we ever wrestled in front of a crowd, because Jesse was part of it. And for those who don't know what a 30-hour famine is, it's a fundraising event where a bunch of people lock themselves into a community center for 30 hours and they don't eat anything for 30 hours. And they're locked inside there to keep each other accountable. Well, for entertainment, we decided to go and put on a show for them. And that was our very first time. We caught the bug that day. That was the day we're like, okay, we have something here. We can do this. People cheered for us. There was only 20 people in the crowd, but they were doing the fucking wave. You know what I mean? Like, we have something here. So it's sad to me, not including you, but with the rest of the group, the core group, only one of us went on to become an indie wrestler. And
It's Jesse, yeah.
that was Jesse. And that's so surprising to me, because honestly, I think if we didn't have such self-esteem issues, both Dean and I could have went on, because we both had offers. You know, I'm sure you know this story. I got a phone call from Joey Legend himself saying, "Hey, come on down and I want to see what you got." And I said no, because I was 90 pounds soaking wet, and you know, I didn't have any self-esteem at all. I didn't think I could make it. So I said no. Well, I try not to regret anything, because I figure, you know, where would my life be right now if I did that? Well, I probably wouldn't be with my wife, and I probably wouldn't have my kids. And, you know, we do things the way it's supposed to, the way it's supposed to be. So I don't regret it. But sometimes I think, I'm like, what could I have made it? What could I have done something? Even if I would have had a minute in the indies, you know what I mean?
You can imagine bringing the UC to the pros.
Holy shit. You say imagine. I've imagined it 1,000 times.
Oh, I have too.
I do want to get to that. Let's fast forward. So this is we meet in summer of 98.
Yeah.
By summer of 99, something has kind of snapped in Dean and I. We're about to graduate high school. Dean just broke up with his longtime girlfriend. His attitude has completely went off reservation.
Yeah.
I don't know what I want with my life, but I'm not feeling like the same person. I'm getting a little bit more attitudinal and edgy, and you know, in my real life. And we decided to bring that into our wrestling characters. James was pissing us off on a regular basis, trying to censor us and tell us what we couldn't do on the camera. Jesse was kind of being a dictator about things. So we had this big show that was supposed to be our last show, because it was right before graduation. So Dean and I looked at each other with our buddy Manny, and we said, let's go out there and just fucking piss them off. Let's just do everything that makes them mad. So we started a stable that day. Now, there was already a stable formed a year prior called the Uncensoreds. It lasted a month, and then they fizzled out and went away. It wasn't great. But I always liked the idea of what they were trying to do. So I said, hey, let's try that again. So we did, and we called ourselves the UC. And then we just came out that night and pissed everybody off. We got naked on camera. We swore, we drank, we did drugs, we did everything that James hated. Everything. We legit went out to fucking piss. If we're going out, if this is our last show, we're going out in a blaze of fucking glory. And hell did we start something, because that wasn't our last show. Nope. And the UC just kept going and going. And all of a sudden, Dean moves away. Manny died. Not really, but he might as well have. And all of a sudden, I'm alone, and I'm like, shit, what am I going to do? And then one day, you come around. You're like, hey, we're going to do a show? Yeah, let's do a show. Dean's gone, and Manny's gone. I don't know what to do. well, you're here. Let's do this.
Yep.
Thus started your career in the UC.
Yep.
Now,
And
we wouldn't really get really going with this for another decade, and we'll get there. But this planted the seeds. This really planted the seeds of something special that we were going to do later in our lives. And the UC was very special to me. Very, very, very special to me.
Oh, same here. I got it right here, man.
Yeah, me too. This was the start of what I consider the person I would be, become. Sometimes, growing up, you're not always the person you're going to be as an adult. This was the moment where I became the person I would become. The sarcastic, childish, immature piece of shit. The guy who loved to drink, have a good time, smoke a carton of cigarettes in a weekend. You know what I mean? And I really wouldn't come out of my shell with this again until we get to where we're going to talk about in a bit.
Yeah.
Almost a decade later. But this was the start of something special. And you and I did a show where I think we were in a tournament and we were booked against each other. So we just went and had fun and just goofed around in the match. Do you remember that?
I'm trying to remember.
It was one of the last ETWs that we were ever involved in together.
Well, I remember Millennium Madness. There was a tournament that I won in that one.
And what I'm talking about happened, I think it was the last show we ever really did together. It was it was in Egger's backyard.
Well,
there's video of it because I do a horrible super kick on you, and then I pull my pants down.
Oh yeah, no, it was we're calling it the Battle of the X's because you were X Dog and I was X Ray.
Yeah, so sounds about right.
Yeah,
horrible.
Yeah. I thought that was such a cool thing to do, and then we never even brought it up on camera, which is probably for the best.
Yes. Well, looking back now, the things that we thought was so cool back then, it's just, oh my God, was it bad?
That's what I meant. Like sometimes I just cringe at it, but then I'll laugh too. And I'm just like, man, that was so much fun to do. I remember it being a lot of fun at the time.
Yeah, it definitely was. And of course, as always happens, all good things come to an end. We get to the year 2000. As you mentioned before, we had a show for the Millennium. We had a pretty damn good show for the Millennium, if I remember. I remember really enjoying
it was a good show. Me too.
Yeah. And then shortly after that show, just a few months after, in April, we had our very last show. We didn't know it was our last show. We knew we saw it coming. Death was around the corner. We were losing guys. We were losing interest. Nobody was coming to the shows. Even the crowds that used to show up wasn't coming anymore. A lot of the guys were going off to college and stuff. And then one day, Jesse and his friend from college, Wesley, had a match that we said, okay, well, if this is the direction we're going, then I don't think we can do this anymore. Because long story short, Wes ended up in the hospital with third-degree burns all over his fucking body. And the cops got called on us. And we decided...
I wasn't there, but I saw the pictures.
Yeah, and the very last thing you ever see on ETW camera was James going, well, guess that's it. And he clicks off the phone, the camera. Even James
3 years.
Right there, James knew right there. It's like, I think we're done. And we were. We were done. The only thing we ever did after that was a stupid thing with you, me, and him walking around. I don't remember what we were doing. I think we were just pretending to call characters or something like that on the phone.
Yeah. We were the UC, the three of us, and what we would just do, since it was only the three of us left, is we would just go in rotation where it would be like, all right, Mike, one of your characters, what, see high black? All right, so how about we would X-Ray and Paige?
Yeah.
Paige, it wasn't even James here, it was Paige. It was X-Ray and Paige would beat up him, and then you guys would trade off and beat me up, and then we would just do that in as a circle. And I remember James beating the crap out of both of us there for a while. But I don't think he wanted
But
to look weak against us.
no, not at all. That was the
Uh,
last thing. That was the last thing we ever really did in ETWA, and that was in 2000. We
so
wouldn't appear on camera again for 7 more years.
no, for being technical here.
Oh no, you're right.
Let
You're
me
right. There is
and
something else we did. Yeah.
this is an important part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how we mentioned Adam Kotam, my best friend as we were kids.
Yeah.
He was living in like the Tri-Towns, Temiskaming
Yeah.
Shores, whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
He ended up moving down south. I believe it was to
When
Petawawa at the time.
when's oh yeah, at that time it would have been better while
And
right, yeah.
but since him and I, like, we had so much fun in the ETWA, we hated the fact that it was so far away. Oh, we had to go to Englehart. We couldn't get there. We were teenagers. We couldn't get there on
Mm-hmm.
our own. So I decided to start my own clique here in North Bay with a bunch of guys that I met that were wrestling fans. 'Cause as you get older, you meet more people, and like, oh hey, there's all these people that we got all together. We had our own group GXW here in North Bay, and
Mm-hmm.
then Adam did the same thing where he was. He got a group together of guys, and that was CCW. And then Adam
CCW.
moved. And then Adam moved again and started down like in the Kingston area, started NWW.
NWW. Yeah.
So I've made some of the best friends that I've ever made in my life through wrestling.
Yes. Through backyard
And
wrestling.
this is well, I mean, this is where it all started, right? So and then so from there, all these guys that I had met here, for the GXW show, we did one big GXW show on camera, Wrestle Stock. You
Yep.
came to that one. Dean was supposed
I
to, but
did.
he couldn't make it. Adam, of course, was there. We ended up having a triple threat match in the main event. That one, you, me, and Adam.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was we have to make sure we touched on that before we got to 2007.
The one and only
Um,
time I ever got to wrestle against your brother.
yes,
Yeah.
we had a tag match, me and you against Electric Eric and Tiny,
That's right.
and we put them over, and yeah, it was pretty cool. I the reason I also bring that up was because like, even though it continued on, just like, we didn't do any more GXW shows. We ended up morphing it into like EWE. We had different variations as it kind of went on, but it all just wasn't the same anymore,
Yeah.
But like I said before, I made the best friends of my life through wrestling. March 2002, I start training to be a professional wrestler. And my whole mentality was always, I'm loving doing this stuff with my buds. Like, I'm having so much fun doing this. And I was just like, but what if I'm going to train and go pro, then I'm going to stop doing this and I'm going to do this. This is where my focus is going to go.
Now we have to mention too, people nowadays in 2026, you can openly say, hey, I was a backyard wrestler and no one gives a fuck. That wasn't the case in 2002.
No,
you couldn't
not.
tell people you tell people you're a backyard wrestler, you're blackballed.
Yeah.
You're not allowed training. Nobody wants to talk to you. They don't care.
Yeah.
It was a very different culture back in 2002.
For sure, yeah. So I decided, like, well, I was just going to move past that and I was going to do this. Now, what also happened around that time of the year 2000, I became a father.
Yeah.
And I ended up becoming a full-time single father. And professional wrestling kind of became a little bit harder. There was nothing in the local area for that. I would have to travel. I would get phone calls to get offered to go on tours, but I'd always have to say no because I had to take care of my kid. And I mean, I didn't drive at the time, so it would just be like, hey, can you get to Kingston by tomorrow? Like, no. Like that.
Yeah.
But these calls will come out. They keep on saying no, and eventually the calls stopped coming. And I had I remember thinking to myself, like, man, I want to do this so bad, but like, I became a dad, and as as a parent, that becomes number one, right? So
100%.
So my dreams of being a professional wrestler got put on hold, and I'm just like, well, I guess I'm going to focus on this. This is what's important now. And then
can we back up for 1 second? I do want to talk about the rest of this, but I think it's important. You just skipped right to, hey, I got involved.
Okay.
You were trained by Chris Thorne,
yes, sir.
Which is now known. He's well known for his promotions in the Niagara area, but a lot of people
Mhm.
don't know that he was running territory in that area, and he's training
Yeah.
more in the northern area. How do you get involved
Yeah.
with Frank, with Thorne?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I should have mentioned that earlier. So, I had a buddy that I used to wrestle here in GXW with, my buddy Sid, and he also had ideas of wanting to like make it to the pros one day. Some of the guys we just did it for fun because just it was
Sure.
something to do. A few of us had dreams of going somewhere with it,
Wow.
and he
And a
was one
few
of the
of us
ones that
have the fucking look. Sid's a huge bitch.
at the time he wasn't what he is now,
No,
but
that's
I mean
true.
he
That's
was,
true. Yeah.
but
He was
the
still big, but
dude,
he was big, but he wasn't what he is. Yeah.
yeah, and the dude could work. Like
Yeah.
he could do some crazy stuff that you would not expect, and
Mhm.
it was just a natural thing for him. But what ended up happening was he was working at a gymnastics club here in North Bay, and he had told me that while he was working, these two big blonde dudes walk in, and one of them just stands in the middle of the floor and just takes a huge bump right there on the floor, bam. And and so he's like, "What the heck?" And
Fucking
uh,
wrestlers, eh?
well, he didn't know at first, right? So he approached them. He was just like, are you guys wrestlers? And they were just like, yeah, And it was Chris Thorne and his partner CK Sex with two X's.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, they were Sextasy originally, and then they changed their name to
Yeah.
Pain Extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, so he ended up meeting them, and then he got their information. He just goes, "Yeah, man, he's got a school. It's in Sundridge, and yeah, man, if you want to come, like, I want to go. Do you want to come with me?" And I'm just like, "Well, hell yeah, for sure." So I get into the back of his dad's truck, like no back to it. So I'm just laying there, like
Yeah.
in the back of a truck from North Bay to Sundridge, and then
Mhm.
I would wrestle. And back then, as you remember, I was like 100 pounds soaking wet,
Yeah, that's right.
and that's how he met me, and they beat the crap out of me, man. I had bruises covering my elbows all over my back from the ropes, and I
You
was so
you
happy.
you always yeah, I was to say you always had a high pain tolerance. You also had if you wanted something, that was it. Like that was like
I was
so
very
so to
stubborn.
hear that you left there covered in bruises, happy as your friend. I'm like, yeah, well, yeah, that was you. You were the guy, when we were trying not to break our necks, you were doing swantons off our sheds. You know,
Yeah, I
you,
feel like there's a lot of people that may be like, man, I've watched what you did in Northland. How did your body get so broken from that? And it's like, well,
wow.
there's a lot more to the story.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I think other people like Jesse could probably say the same thing. By the
Yeah,
time
he's put himself through a lot.
by the time Jesse got in the Indies, he was already fucked. The fact that he
Yeah.
had a decent what decade career in the Indies is a miracle because of what he did in the
Hmm.
backyard first. Because
Yeah, and
he had already.
it's really sad that many people will have no idea of the things that he's done, but he has done
Oh
some
yeah.
Mick Foley level stuff.
Yeah, but I what I wish more is what people knew what he did in and for the Indies. There was a time
Mhm.
that man, like he does go down for me as a guy who was you needed to see him in the Indies in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Um, we're always talking the praises on the show of guys like Custom Marcus Ryan and Tornado,
Yeah.
but when those guys were in the primes, Jesse was just coming up. And Jesse was not only a really entertaining wrestler, but goddamn was he the best manager the Ontario indie scene ever saw.
He could talk. He could
That
talk.
dude, you put that guy in the mic and nobody touched him. A lot of people
Yep.
forget the work that he did. He was the mouthpiece for Brody Lee for a good tour, for Christ's sake. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people forget what Jesse did and what could he done.
Just
All
he
right,
was born in
so
the wrong era.
yeah, 100%. So now you've hooked up with Thorne. You've done some training. You're all trained up. You're ready to do some shows. What's your first show? Who books you first?
Well, Thorne, of course. We ended up doing these mini shows at his school, which was just in this like little garage area, like a sold out crowd would be like 20 people. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
But it was our first shows, and it's going to sound kind of funny. I can't remember if the first match I did was against Thorn one-on-one, because I know the videotape that I have of us, it was my second match, and it was me against Thorn. But it may have actually been against Stefan. It sounds kind of funny. I can't even like remember my exact first match.
Now in backyard, I know Stefan is Jack Floyd Jr. What was his gimmick on the Indies?
Jack Floyd Jr.
He was Jack Floyd Jr. on the Indies as well. That's funny.
Yep, he was the guy with the pants on the Indies.
The guy with the pants. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he also had his own backyard company, CWF at the time. But I met him in Thorne's school. Like we were both students. That's how we met.
You say CWF, but I believe it was CFW.
Sorry, Thorns is CWF.
Right.
CFW.
Only reason I remember that because the F stood for flapjacks.
Crazy flapjack. Not plural.
Yeah.
Not plural.
Yeah.
But yeah, crazy flapjack. I apologize for that. Yeah, CFW. So yeah, I met him there, and we started talking about our old days, and it was pretty cool, you know. But of course, you know, I mean, we couldn't talk about that with Thorn or anybody else, right? Like, you know, that was because nobody else would have gotten it. So
was Thorn smart though? Like, did he know about your background, or you were keeping that completely kayfabe?
He knew about the history because at the time I wasn't still doing it at the time. So like it was just like, you know, it was something in the past. But no, he knew about it. Like I spoke to him. I never showed him any of the videos, but like we talked a lot about it. And like he actually really liked, believe it or not, he really liked Jeff Michaels' entrance theme and used it for some shows because he liked it a lot.
I'm assuming it was a Saliva song.
It might have been. I can't remember what I can't remember what it was called, but I just remember playing him some of the music from the CCW CDs. Okay. And he really liked that theme, and he dug it. But yeah, like he I don't know, man. Like I mean, he would make some jokes about backyarders, but I mean, it was a different time, right? So like I didn't necessarily want to be like, oh, I loved that time of my life, because I mean, like really, it was a time that I held with like a lot of love. Like I made some of my best friends, so I have nothing bad to say about it. So like I didn't like bringing it up to people because everyone would just shit on it, and I just didn't want to deal with that. So I just would be like, I'm separating all this, right? So then,
which makes sense, and a lot of guys did. That you just had to back then.
Yeah.
What was Thorn like? What was Thorn like as a trainer?
Thorn was great, man. Like really, like he was very understanding with things. It was not like a camp. It wasn't like, you know, like making you keep going. If you're hurt, I'll keep going. It wasn't anything like that. You know what I mean? He took everything very serious. He was very proud. He wanted the generation that he's training, he wanted them to be like knowledgeable and respectful, you know what I mean? Like he wanted them trained right, you know, the next generation. I was trained by Chris Thorne. You don't want someone out there saying that when they're, you know, just out there doing a terrible job, right? You know, so like he wanted to make sure he wanted to make sure that his students are trained good. He's trained some really good ones. His son is doing some awesome stuff too. Like he's still doing stuff, man. He's still out there like doing the work, man, and putting it in. It's really cool to see.
He still puts out. I don't know if it's still annual, but he was doing those Wrestle Illusion shows for a while. And
Resolution,
Resolution, yeah. And he always puts on a good card for that. Always.
Oh, yeah.
We here at Counted Out, we've been wanting to be involved with that for a couple of years, but the timing never kind of works out. It's always something else going on. But I always look at that card and I'm like, man, Chris Thorne still got it, man. He knows what he's doing. He's a smart cat. I ran into Thorne at a TNA pay-per-view a couple years ago in Windsor, not even here. Like it's in Windsor. And I saw him. And I just walked up and I'm like, you don't remember me at all. Like we've met a couple times. I refed a couple of your matches, but I don't expect you to remember me. He's like, yeah, no, I don't. I'm like, I grew up a really good friend of Ray Beauchamp. The minute I said that, boom, everything changed. He went from fuck off kid to, oh shit, sit down. You know what I mean? I went from pissed off Frank to come talk to me, Chris Thorne. You know what I mean? It was very cool. It was very cool. I got to see two sides of Thorne within a minute and a half. So moving on now, as you said, your parental responsibilities have come in full force.
Yeah.
You're a single dad, and anybody who's been in that role. I'm not even a single dad. I am lucky enough to have a partner who does probably more than 50% of the parenting. And I find it hard to fit in anything in my life. So to be
Yeah.
100% a parent to a child, especially a child at his age, Brandon was a baby when you were thrust into this role, so you had to be there 100% for him. So of course, anybody would understand that wrestling now has to take a backseat. Was
Yeah.
this I'm not going to ask if this is a hard decision for you because it's not even a decision. This is just it's the way it's got to be because it's the way it's got to be. My question for you is, why did it take as long as it did to get back to professional wrestling? And were there opportunities that you had to turn down in the intro?
So I had to turn down a lot of offers. I would get calls to go on a tour, but I would have to say no, of course, because the parental responsibilities. Uh, but like I said, after a while, the calls stopped coming, and I can't blame them because they were just like, we're not going to ask Ray anymore. He's just going to say no, you know.
Yeah.
So I do understand, but I mean, it always disappointed me because I just wanted to fucking wrestle. I wanted to so bad, and then I remember discussing with you an idea about, man, like, it'd be really cool. Like, I'm just dreaming here, but like, the ECWA, and like I got GXW, and there's CCW and NWW. Like, what if like, since we're all kind of related, I had this weird, we're all like a family tree branching off each other kind of mentality of it, and I'm just like, why don't we just invite all of them for just one big super like hangout, we'll do a super show gathering.
This is years before this would become a reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had this idea for a while.
Yeah, and I remember for the longest time you were just like, sounds great. It's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it was just a dream, It was just like something cool, I thought, because I mean, a lot of those guys I never even got to meet, but I knew of them and they knew of me through like just the library,
Yeah.
And of course Adam would talk about me, and here I would talk about Adam, and you, and that's it. Would just, we all talked about each other.
We all knew each other. We knew of each other.
Yeah.
But we didn't. A lot of us hadn't met until the show we're about to talk about. A lot of us had not met, but I knew about all the CCW guys and all the NWW guys because I saw CCW tapes, I saw NWW tapes, I saw what you guys were doing in North Bay, and was lucky enough to be involved. But other than the guys who were at the GXW show, and the one time I got to meet Jeff through Adam, I didn't know anybody else. But I used to have phone calls with Danny. I never met Danny, but just we'd have phone calls. Or I would talk to I don't know how it happened, but our mutual friend Ben got my number somehow long before we started collaborating, and he got me an MSN or something. So
MSN, yeah.
I knew these guys, but I didn't know these guys. You were able to make this a reality, though, because you saw an opportunity that you knew that, because you're funny, because you say, I'm the guy that says it's never going to happen. And I am that guy. I could be so skeptical sometimes. I can be so cynical sometimes. I'm like, yeah. But no. It sounds great on paper, but not happening. I hope I'm not that bad anymore, but I was definitely like that back then. But you saw an opportunity that you knew that I wouldn't be able to say no to, that the other boys wouldn't be able to say no to, because you realized that 2007 was coming up, which was marking the 10-year anniversary of the ETWA.
You are jumping ahead of something, though.
Oh, okay.
Sorry to cut you off of that, but so we talked about it, and it was just kind of like hey, this would be a fun idea. So I was reaching out to different guys, and a lot of people were showing interest in the idea, and it was like, oh, maybe we can do this. But this was years before it actually happened. And because I remember I had to send out a mass email in the summer of 2005 when my brother Eric died.
Yes.
And that was I need to put my focus on this now, guys. So
Mhm.
this is all being postponed until a later thing. I need to focus on this now. Everybody was completely understanding. There was
Mhm.
no issue with it. I had a lot of support, I had a lot of love, and it was awesome. Like I said, best friends I've had in my life was from this stuff. So everyone was really cool with it. And then I remember distinctly, you and I were having a conversation because we would just chat on the phone. Like we would call each other up every now and then and we would just talk. And you had said at one point, you were like, man, like you realized that the summer of 2007, like, which was over a year at the time away, it was about a year and a half away almost.
Yeah.
You're like, the summer of 2007, it'll be 10 years of the ETWA.
Mhm.
And it was like, oh, wow.
And you
And I
know
started,
how
I
I am
started,
with anniversaries.
and it was a 10-year one. It was a special
Yeah,
number.
it's a big
So I
one.
was
Yeah.
just like, I was just like, oh man, like what, you know, I mean, it'd be fun. I don't know, it'd be fun. But I started also wondering, being like, man, I don't want I'm trying. I really want to do professional wrestling still. Just I'm not getting any calls. So I was really nervous about the idea of doing this backyard show while still being a professional wrestler and wanting to do this.
Yeah.
I actually had a conversation on the phone with Stefan about it because he was also invited to the show and he was there and he performed and he had a great time. But
Absolutely.
I had explained to him, I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like I feel like Thorn would just probably like rip this apart and I don't like the thought of what it can do, and I was nervous about that. And he had encouraged me to do it. He's just like, man, like it's something just for yourself. You know what I mean? It's something for us to do, and he made it seem like it'd be no big deal. And I'm really glad that he did because I was really on edge about how to do that. And okay, we ended up doing it. We ended up doing I ended up going through with it. I reached out to everybody again. I was like, hey, everyone's still on board. Yeah, well, most everybody was, and there was even new people in that time that were jumping on board too. And so that would bring us to summer of 2007,
Hmm.
which is
Which
yeah,
anybody who knows me, I love anniversaries. I have a weird thing with numbers. If it's a 5, a 10, a 15, whatever,
yeah,
we got to do something. We got to do something. My wife's laughing at me because we haven't done shit for our anniversary in years. But now I give a fuck because next in 2 weeks is our 10-year anniversary, and I'm like, we got to do this. We got to do this. She goes, when do you care? I'm like, it's 10.
yep,
you know,
yeah,
and it's anniversaries mean something to me. I've always really loved, especially round numbers and stuff like that. So when we realized together that the 10-year anniversary was coming up, it was a no-brainer for me. I'm like, okay, let's get your dream going. Let's put this together. Let's do a reunion because I know that the guys who would have said no originally are going to say yes because we're going to book it. We're going to promote it as a reunion. We're not going to tell people we're doing a backyard wrestling show. We're going to say, hey, it's like a high school reunion. Yeah, everybody loves a high school reunion, except this is for the ETWA.
yeah.
And we're not, and of course, because we all have fucking egos, we had to stroke some egos. So we had to tell them, and it's not only going to be us, it's going to be all the guys who were inspired by us. All the guys who wish they could be us. They're going to come. Right though? That's how we had to sell it.
Yeah.
I know those guys in fucking Peterborough and Petawawa and where fucking Minanatang, whatever the hell those towns were. Those guys didn't give a shit about what we were doing. But my ego needed to believe that we started the whole thing. And James and Dean and Jesse, they had just as hard egos as I did. And they needed to believe that we started the whole thing. And you know what? God damn it, I can say this 30 years later. We started the whole fucking thing. So it was important to us that we went there and you motherfuckers all came around and gave us our flowers. And that's the way that we looked at it at that point in time. Now, obviously, because of what would follow for the decade after this, because we didn't see anything coming after this. This was a one
No,
shot. This was a one shot. This was, let's go celebrate our anniversary, and maybe we'll do
Yeah.
something again in 10 years.
And this was supposed to be the well, I mean, it was the goodbye ECWA deserved more than what it got years
Exactly.
prior.
Exactly. Which is funny because I hadn't talked to Jesse since the incident. Since that match that ruined us, Jesse and I's relationship deteriorated. And because I held him personally, the ETW was the most important thing in my life. And I held him personally responsible for murdering it. So I didn't talk to Jesse from 2001, maybe 2000 actually, all the way to 2007. I didn't talk to Jesse. And I barely talked to Dean. Dean and I, not because we hated each other or anything like that, but just Dean, that's to this day, that's just the way Dean is. Dean disappears for years at a time, and you don't know where to find him and stuff. So
that's true.
All of a sudden, all my friends are gone, and the only person I really have to talk to is you and James from the old crew. But this is a time for healing. This is a time for reconciliation. This is a time to say, hey, let's get everybody together. And I remember telling you, I don't know if you remember this, I remember pitching to you, what I want in this show, there's a spot I want. I want Jesse to come, look me in the eye on camera, and apologize. Well, funny, I don't know if we pitched that to Jesse because he didn't show up anyways.
Yeah. Took him 5 years.
Took him 5 years. But yeah, he had no part of it. Now, again, by this time, Jesse was in the Indies. And Jesse was doing damn good in the Indies. And this is a time still where you didn't backyard. You didn't. Yep. So Jesse he made the right choice. Not being part of the show was right for him. So
yeah, and
go ahead.
Go. Oh, okay. No, I was going to say, so yeah, he wasn't at the show in 2007. However, a bunch of ETWA guys were there.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of GXW and a couple of CCW and NWW. It was really cool. Even some extra, like some new people were there. But I kept it on the very down low. I didn't advertise it to people. It was kept very quiet. We didn't have a Facebook group back then, but I would film everything and then we'd put it on DVD and then we would sell the DVDs to the guys, and we made this fun project we always do. But I kept it very quiet. I did not want it getting out. I did not want everyone knowing and talking about it. So, but it was supposed to be just a one-shot deal. It was a great goodbye to the HWA. It was very emotional. A lot of us were very emotional that day. And then but I remember afterwards though, a lot of us, we were just talking, being like, oh man, it would have been really cool if you and I got to do a match together, eh? Or it would have been cool if you and I got to do a match. And then so it was just like, well, fuck it, I guess we're gonna have to do this again next year.
It doesn't matter how old you get. It doesn't matter what sector of wrestling you're in. I think backyard wrestling and actual professional wrestling is the same thing when you can say wrestlers never retire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's fair.
So
I made for the event to be when it was in July. My brother passed away on July 18th in 2005. Yes. So I liked to have it be as close to the 18th as possible, for something to me to look forward to. Because if
I'm not mistaken, that first show was the 18th, wasn't it?
No, the first show was not the 18th.
No.
The first show was the 20th and 21st.
Okay.
And the second show was the 18th. 18th fell on that one. But I always tried to make it as close to the 18th or on the 18th as possible. But yeah. So anyway, after ECWA Reborn, which was kind of funny because I mean, like, nothing happened with ECWA after that. It was now something different.
No, but it was the rebirth of our love for backyard wrestling. We just didn't know it.
It yet. Was exactly.
It was never. We called it Reborn because we thought it was a cool name, and I had heard this song by Stone Sour, and I played it for you. Going, how cool would this be? Let's call it Reborn because we can play this as a theme. It all fit together. Reborn to me was in the beginning. It was never supposed to be reborn didn't mean we were rebirthing our
Mhm.
ETWA or backyard wrestling. It was just a name. It
Yep.
became so much more though. It really like took a life of its own.
It really did. However, I do remember us leaving the ETWA name like behind and being like,
Yeah,
so something
we
new,
had
something different.
we had to we had to
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
moving forward under that banner would have alienated all the other guys who were putting
yeah,
in so much work to come to this show, because we had people
exactly.
from different backyard sects from all over the country. I was going to say the
Yeah,
province, but they were really from all over the place, including me,
yeah.
because I was stationed in Montreal at the time. So
Hmm.
we had people from all over the place. It would have not been fair to move on and say, okay, we're the ETWA. Come join
Yeah,
the ETWA.
yeah,
Fuck PWT, whatever the hell they were. Fuck CCW. Fuck all you guys. Leave your ship behind and come be part of us. That's not what
yeah.
we did. When you created what we're about to talk about, it was not leave what you were doing behind and come to us. It was bring
Yeah.
you to us. We
I had
brought
literally said
all these
anybody.
different, brought all these different
Yeah.
styles, and because we all have different styles.
Oh yeah,
The ETWA I found was we took things very serious, a little too serious. CCW was goofy as hell. NWW was fun. GXW tried their best to be a little bit more on the hardcore side.
yeah.
Then later on, you would get the boys from
NCW.
the NCW. Thank you, which were doing things that we didn't even dream of doing yet.
Yep.
Then of course Ben's League, the Midland area, the
Yep.
PTW, those boys,
Yep.
they were doing the trampoline stuff. Everybody
Yep.
had their own style, so for everybody to come together with their own styles made a lot more sense than being like, drop
Mhm.
your gimmicks and come and join us.
Yeah. I
Get
wanted us
together
all
and
to be
get together and
unite.
be one, which is why you chose the most fitting name possible for this organization.
Uh, yeah, it would have been the UBWA, the United Backyard Wrestling Alliance.
Which is funny
So, so
because
th
we wouldn't be called that until the second show.
That's right. We were. It was just. Well, no,
It
no,
was
no. We were
we,
called that for the first show. We weren't called Wrestle Union until the second
oh, I
show.
thought it was the other way around. I thought it was the other way around. Okay, all right.
No, no, it was. We were UBWA because I remember the first show kicks off with Dekker saying, "Welcome to the United Backyard Wrestling Alliance," and it was just
Nah,
like we
I
didn't have a
thought it
name for
was
this
Welcome
thing.
to Wrestle Reunion.
No, that did happen, but not at that show.
That
But
man was a
but
walking botch reel.
oh, it was some of the best ones though. Like, I still quote them. You know,
Mm.
when someone gets hit in the nards, it's always just like, oh, low bridge.
Fucking love him.
And nobody knows what I'm talking about, right? So
No,
like
no, no,
if you're right there,
absolutely
just
not.
like what?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the idea of like all of us just having such a great time and then wanting to do it again the next year, under a new name to bring us all together to unite us all under one. So we're now the UBWA. So, but we still paid homage to our past groups. It wasn't like we erased them. We
100%
would
we
talk
did.
about them. We would include the stories. We include the
We
championships a
we
lot of the
brought in
time.
our title. We brought in all our titles. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it was
And our
something that
and our match styles, because we had matches
yeah,
that we created. We did, certain matches that we invented in EWA that we would bring in to UBWA, and other
yep,
organizations did the same thing, which I
yep,
thought made us very unique. Yeah.
yeah, and it was something that I really enjoyed because, like I said, there was something for everyone. You know, as weird as that, it sounds kind of crazy, like a variety show, but like really, there was, like you said earlier, how there was people that were focused on like hardcore, some focused on high flying, some focused on whatever, and like just it was all such a, it was all just fun. It was just there was something for everyone.
UBWA was our variety show. It had everything, which I loved. There's something we skipped over that we need to go back to
Okay.
2007 for,
Yep.
because we alluded to this before. We need to go back to it.
Sure.
we talked about before how important the UC was to me in 1999.
Yeah.
Now it's 2007.
Mhm.
We're doing Reborn, and what are we gonna do? Well, the most fitting thing for me is, well, we got to get the UC together. What else would we do? It's the last time I'm ever seen on camera with original UC member, malicious Mickey Knox, known as Manny Scott.
Yep. Yep.
He comes in and does some spots with us. You, me, and Dean start what we didn't know at the time was going to be the new, and I think the most influential and most powerful version of the UC to date.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because this was the most personal version of UC. We took everything that we were feeling during the time that we were off, those 7 years that we weren't wrestling, we brought it onto camera, and we were making inside jokes. We were being stupid. We were doing everything the UC does. We were doing everything to piss people off. And
Yep.
right away, Dekker went from being the man who hated us the most to being our biggest fan. Because he's like, that's what I want to see. I want to see the UC be the UC. And then we came out, and goddamn, were we the UC? We booked ourselves. We booked ourselves a, what was it, last man standing match? I think it was
Blood, sweat, and beers.
Blood, sweat, and beers is what we called it. But
yeah, you guys did
I think we did last man standing kind of deal.
I think it was last man standing. I refereed you guys.
And then the best part was that we booked you as the ref, and you got shit faced fucking drunk. I think at one point you went to do a count, and you hit Dean in the nuts on accident and just dropped him. That was some of the most fun. That was some of the most fun I had in my life. But it wouldn't stop at Reborn. We would move on, and then we just kept evolving the story. We broke up the UC more times than I don't know, man.
Yeah, there was a me, you versus Dean, you and Dean versus me and Dean versus you. We shuffled it all.
Every show, it was different.
But something that I thought was awesome about that, though, is that back in the EWA days, it was very common for UC members to fight each other because we were like, man, the only competition we got around here is each other. Well, so we're going to go out there and we're going to tear the show down ourselves.
We were the backyard version of the clique, right? Because we didn't read dirt sheets, so we didn't know this was going on, but that's what the clique was doing. That's why Sean was always fighting Diesel and Razor and Kid, because you know, or it was always Razor and Kid or something like that.
Yeah.
The clique only wanted to face each other because they're like, fuck it, let's just go make money together. Well, that was our mentality too. We just wanted to work each other and have some fun and do some shit with our friends.
Yep.
That was 100% my mentality. So when we did Reborn, my first thought was, I told you, I said, if we're only doing this show, if this is our only show, I just want to wrestle Dean. That's all I care about. Just book me with Dean. And let's do it. Book you as get you involved somehow. I don't care what you do, but let's get you involved. We did that.
Yeah.
Then we say, okay, we're not done. We're going to do another show. UBWA is born. And I said, all right, well, I fought Dean last year. What are we going to do this year? And what's the only thing that makes sense is you and I got to do something, right? And of course, I have to do a heel turn because one of us has to turn heel every show. I drew the straw that year, I guess. We did a horrible spot where I think I wrapped a chair around your throat and jumped on it to try to make you bleed from the mouth. I think it looked really bad.
Possibly.
Yeah, but what I take away from that show, you and I had an okay match, but I wasn't used to wrestling anymore. Doing it once a year doesn't get you into it, right?
Calloused up. Yeah.
And I'm still skittish. I flinch when it comes to things, even though, especially if I know they're coming.
Mhm.
So when I'm laid down and you go up and I know you're doing that swanton, the smart person in me would lay flat and just let it happen. But no, the fucking idiot in me has to roll over on my side, and I take and you weren't 100 pounds soaking wet anymore. You must have weighed a good 230 at this point.
No, I would say over 200, but early 200. Like my
Okay, but
heaviest was
even that,
232.
let's say you were 200 fucking pounds coming from 7 feet up through the air onto my ribs because I'm
No,
an
I,
idiot
I
and I go on the side.
I think you're remembering this part a little bit fuzzy because I did do something like that, similar to that. But what you're talking about, you were outside the ring
Okay.
and you were laying down on your side. I put this like thing on your face to leg drop on, whatever, and it messed your nose up a little bit. But like you couldn't really see it first, and you were rolling over to your side, and I didn't notice you were on your side until I was already like going to do the move, and I ran back and then I ran forward and I just swanton over the top rope and then land on you as you're rolling onto your side, and I bounce off of you.
Oh, like you bounce. I remember watching
and
that on camera. You bounce.
I,
I was your trampoline.
Yeah, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh man!" And you sounded like that grape stomping lady who falls over after stomping. I'm like, "Ugh." and
I can
and
say I can think of if I think of the three most painful things that ever happened to me during backyard wrestling, that's definitely top three, if not number one. That was one
that
of the
would have been
most
a
painful
bad
things
one.
I've ever endured. Yeah. That was,
I'm
but
sorry
I
about that happening.
but I finished the match, man. I
You
still
did,
finished
you
the
did,
match.
you did, and it was a great one. I had a lot of fun with that one for sure. A lot of
I
it
do
didn't
look
go the
back.
way that we envisioned it. I remember we wrote it a certain
No,
way, and some things got messed
yeah,
up, but nobody really caught on. You know what I mean? Because nobody knew what we were going to do, right? We had our own vision of what we
that's
wanted it to
one
be.
thing.
It didn't go the way it
That
wanted to go, but it was
that's
still
one
great.
thing I do pride. That's one thing I prided myself on in my backyard career. I fucked up a lot. I fucked up a lot, but I was really good at making sure people didn't know I fucked up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I was really. I
Mhm.
would come out of them. I would come out of them, my matches pissed off. We missed that spot. I didn't do this. I chickened out of that. I didn't do this right. I fucked this up. And people would be like, "What? You just put on a banger, dude." I'm like,
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
like
even know you.
you should have seen what I had up
Yeah,
here. You should have seen
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you could, I just put on a 5-star match. I put on a 10-star match in here, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I
like
remember. I
you
remember.
know, but my standards were always because you, me, and Dean always had not a competition as much, but we always had this thing. This is where
Yeah.
the egos come in. We, even though it was backyard, we wanted to be those guys. We wanted
Yeah.
to be when the cameras turned off at the end of the weekend and we're sitting around having beers. We wanted to be the guys people would be like, "Fuck, remember what those guys did?"
Yeah.
And honestly, I 30 years later, I can say with my full ego, a lot of times we were those guys people were talking about.
Yeah.
We were the guys those people were talking about 6 months later. We were the guys people were
Mhm.
talking about the next year, being all right. Remember what those guys did? We got I because that's what I wanted. I wanted people to up our game, and by them upping our game, now we have to up their game. It was fun. It got to the point. It was very very different from ETWA
Yeah.
because the competition was different. It was no longer competition of I have to try to beat this guy. It was now I want to put on a better show than you did. And
Mhm.
that's I finally understood what wrestling was. I didn't know what professional
Yeah.
wrestling was in EWA. At this point, I finally understood. It's about psychology, it's about artwork, it's about storytelling. I didn't get that
Yeah.
back then.
Of
At this
course,
point, I
we're just
did.
kids.
And exactly. And now I'm having fun with it. Now I'm really
Yeah.
having fun.
Yeah.
But that was the start of it. You Wrestle Union 1, you and
Yeah.
me,
And
and then we would just go on, and every show after that we would try to just do a little bit better, right?
And if you watch the shows in chronological order like that, you can see it. You can see the like, and
Absolutely.
I remember watching stuff from Union One and being like, oh man, that looked really cool, and then like watching it back and just being like, oh man, like that. Why did I think that looked so cool? That looks kind of ridiculous
I look
now.
back at the ETWA stuff. I remember thinking we were the shit, man. I remember thinking
Yeah,
I remember in 1998 us showing a tape of us wrestling in my backyard to Joey Legend. Hey man, look what we do. Watch this. We were
yeah,
proud of that shit. I look
yeah,
back now going,
yeah. I
holy
get that.
shit, what? So even the ETW, even the UBWA stuff, I look back at some of it now, and I look back at it very differently because I look at it with these nostalgia eyes. I don't look at it as wrestling. I look at it as the time I spent with my friends. But if I'm
Yeah,
going to break it down and be like, can I watch this and enjoy it as a wrestling fan? As it progresses, it gets better and better.
yep,
There is some
definitely.
stuff that I can still sit back, whether I'm in it or not. I can sit back and be like, man, that was fun. I can watch this as a wrestling fan.
Yep.
I will name drop right here. There's a match between yourself and our friend Brian, you and Nighthawk. Have a match that I will put that over some about 20% of the fucking indie matches that I've seen. You know what I
Yeah, that
mean?
was a fun one. Yeah,
So,
I looked back on it and I mean like it was one of my favorites. I loved it too. I thought everything was really good. We didn't even talk a lot about anything. We just went out there and just had some fun. He done it for years in
oh, oh,
NCW. I did
oh,
it for years where I did.
so it wasn't planned for you to fucking break your nose halfway through the match?
No, and it wasn't planned for me to be half like in the bag, man. I was
Yeah, that
drunk
true. Yeah,
and I do regret that though in a sense. Like I mean, I really should not have been performing being as drunk as I was, but
I don't think
I
I
would
ever
focus
performed
and
sober.
yeah. Well, but I mean, it's funny too because I went back because even though a lot of the stuff was older, I would still like to do some footage where like Brian would come over and hang out, and we would do a watch along, like a DVD commentary over our match, and then we would kind of just
Yeah,
talk about it. So we were talking about it, how like yeah, we never really talked. We just let's go out there and have some fun. So we just went out
yeah,
there and just had some fun. My dad was there for that. Like my dad was
yeah.
even
That's
in the
right.
crowd watching that
I
one,
remember that. Yeah,
and yeah, and it was fun. The crowd was like really
I
hot,
felt
and
bad. I felt bad because I think I had one of my moments where I took things a little too far that night, and your dad was a little
yeah,
uncomfortable with some of the decisions that I made that night. And I remember
yeah.
feeling so guilt. I remember feeling so guilty because I didn't want to do to anybody what Jesse did to us back in the day. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But at the same time, I was the UC in me. I was that guy who always pushed the envelope. I never wanted to break anything. I didn't want to ruin anything for anybody, but I always wanted to see how far can I go.
Yeah.
And I might have stepped over the line just a bit that night. And
Yeah, it may
I
have happened a few times, but
and I know your father may have took a step out during my match.
yeah. Well. Thankfully, my match with Brian was before that, and
Mm-hmm.
he watched it, and he said he thought it was so great. He loved it. He was so entertained by it. It was a lot of fun for him, and that was really cool. Like that's something that was very special to me. My dad being there, it went really great. I can't remember a lot of it in like real time because of the drinking and stuff, I guess. But I remember kicking me right in the nose and just feeling it, and like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was it was a bad one, but
I'll give
it happens.
I'll give Brian his flowers right now. Brian was one of my favorite people, not only to hang out with at these shows, but to work with. Um, I
Such a
never
nice guy.
felt I never felt as safe with anybody as I did with Brian. There was things
Yep.
I let Brian do that I don't think I would let almost anybody else do. Maybe you, because I knew you were trained and stuff.
Yeah.
But I let that motherfucker F5 me off the top rope. And
Technically, it was a bit taller than the top rope because it was on that crate that was in the corner.
that's right. So we were like 10 feet off the ground. And he jumped in the air to do it. So we're probably 12 feet off the ground. And then he lands with me in the F5. So, or was it an F? I think it's more of an FU. But,
Yeah, if you, sorry,
anyways,
yeah.
yeah. But I don't think I would trust anybody. And I remember being up there and I'm telling him, like, I hate this, 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 I hate this. The
Yeah.
minute the minute I'm on the mat, I look up like, oh, thanks, bud. Like he took
Yeah.
care of me the whole way, you know,
And it looked good. It looked
that's
good.
what you and that's what you want in a partner. That you want a
Yeah.
partner who's gonna you want it to look like he killed you, but you feel good after. And that's why my two favorite people to work with in my backyard career were always you and Dean. And I have told you this before, but I'm going to tell you this again. I'm going to give you your props on here.
Okay.
Of all the people I've ever worked with, nobody throws a fucking work punch like you do. Nobody. I've called you the Bret Hart of backyard many times.
Wow.
Because on camera it looks like you're fucking killing person. And unless your name is Tyler Lisk, that's not the case.
Yeah.
you have it. I have watched matches between you and I where it just looks like you're just beating the shit out of me. You're nobody in our group could pull a punch like you. And then Dean will say the same thing. Dean and I had a chemistry. Dean and I were best friends since grade 9. Dean was my first high school best friend. Dean and I knew each other inside and out. We could work a match and not talk. We didn't have to. We never worked spots. Never talked about what we're going to do before we got in. Never.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the match, a lot of us would, like you and I, would whisper spots to each other. Never did that with Dean. Never.
Yeah.
I just saw in his face that I knew what he wanted. We worked like that for years. I don't know how many matches he and I had together. But he was my favorite person to work with because we were just connected like that.
Yep.
So, those are the guys you want, the guys that you can trust. That's the most fun you can have in a wrestling ring, whether it's the pros or the backyard, doesn't matter. The most fun you can have are the people that you know that you're leaving this not getting hurt. And that you can talk about the match later and say, fuck, that was good.
Yeah.
Now,
for sure.
Speaking of having fun, we had too much fun. We are getting very close to the end of this show.
Yeah.
But before we get there, we have a lot of ground to cover. There's 3 more things I want to talk about. So I want to get
Okay, let's get to it. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's start with the end of UBWA.
Okay.
You had to make some really tough decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's be honest. None of us are getting younger. We're all in our 40s now. Okay? Some of us a little more than others. Fuck you. When did you know it was time to pull the plug and say, at least for the in-ring stuff, at least for setting up the ring, having a wrestling show, when did you say, we can't do this anymore?
It was probably
because it was long after me, by the way.
Yeah. I'd say it would probably be out just after WrestleUnion 12.
Okay.
That was in 2019. 2019, yeah. Because I always had said that if it ever got to a point where it just felt like more stress and work than fun, I'd probably want to wrap it up. Yeah. And not that it was becoming less fun or anything like that, but like a lot of people, like you stopped coming after WrestleUnion 10 because you have this weird thing for 10-year anniversaries. So like it would always be like, oh yeah, Mike was at the 10-year anniversary. That was his last one.
Do you want me to be honest with you?
Sure, yeah, of course.
Do you want to know the real reason? And it took me a long time to admit this about myself. The real reason I had to stop coming. Now, I retired at WrestleUnion 8, right?
Yep.
I didn't come to WrestleUnion 9. And then, when I came to WrestleUnion 10, what happened? What did I do?
You broke your finger.
Help it. I broke my finger, but what else? Even though it was a short 5-minute match, I got in the match. I knew that if I kept going, I couldn't not wrestle. I couldn't not be involved. And I was at a point by 2002 by 2018, I had a child. I knew that I didn't want to be doing this anymore. I couldn't be risking myself because I know myself. I was going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. I don't want to be in a wheelchair with my kids.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to be doing backyard when you're 20 or younger. Your body can handle it. When you're
Yeah.
35, 36, 40, your body can't
Mhm.
do what it used to do. If I was
Nope.
doing the things that I wanted to do, I was going to get hurt because I can't, again, this is the John Cena syndrome. I wouldn't be able to come in and just do nothing. I can't go half ass. I was going to go in, I was going to try to push myself and do everything I could do. And if I can't do that, I'm just not going to go.
Yeah.
And I would make excuses. I could never be honest about it. I would just make excuses. This got in the way, this got in the way. But if I look back now, and when I say make excuses, I don't mean make excuses just to you. I made excuses for myself because I couldn't admit why I wasn't going to these shows. Looking back now, I wasn't going back to shows because I couldn't not, my ego got in the way. I couldn't not be Mr. Wrestle Union. And I always wanted to be at least in the fucking contention. I may have not have been Mr. Wrestle Union every year, but at least they were thinking about it every year. I needed to be at least in the contention. And if I couldn't be, I didn't want to go. So yeah, that's why I started pulling out. And then, of course, as I'm sure you're going to allude to, I was the first of many to start taking a step back.
Yep. That was something too. Like a lot of people were stepping back, and as weird as it sounds, though, there was also a lot of people that were stepping in. Like it was just it changed so much from the first one to the last one. Like the people,
there's guys in those
different.
shows 11, 12, and 13. There's guys in there that I've never seen before in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And it becomes something different. It's kind of like, when you take like an old ship and eventually you have to like replace all the pieces that get damaged or whatever. And then after all this time, every single piece has been repaired. Is it still the same ship as it was originally? You know what I mean? Like even though there was still all the original, groups, even more came in, you know what I mean? Like we ended up becoming even bigger. We ended up having a pro ring. We had a huge light set, it was a really cool set afterwards. It grew a lot like that, but a lot of the core people just stopped coming every year. And as much as I enjoy the people that were there, I really missed the guys that weren't there anymore. And it got to a point where I was just like, man, I'm getting really, I'm getting older and I'm getting beaten up, and it's like hauling all this stuff. Like, I mean, it all comes out of my pocket, right? Like, I mean, I would pay money to rent the U-Haul truck to bring the ring and to bring all of our set stuff there, set it all up, and then have the U-Haul bring everything back. Like, and it all costs a lot. So I was like, well, there's that, and like my body is really starting to not feel very good. So I'm like, man, like I reach out to the guys being like, hey, so we're gonna plan this next show, and then there would not be a lot of response back, and it would just be like, all right, well then maybe this will be the last one. So then I said, like, I think we're gonna do this next show in 2020 be our last one. Little did I know the whole world was gonna shut down.
Right.
So it was like, well, we couldn't even do it then if we wanted to. So I'm just like, all right, well, and you know what? I actually feel like in a weird way it was kind of a good thing, because I feel like it wouldn't have been what it was if we didn't have that few year gap. Sure. It ended at 12, but then like I wanted to do one more, 13. So like just it's a round
Lucky
number in a way.
13. Yeah.
So in 2020 we couldn't do it. I was hoping for 2021, still we couldn't do it, and finally in 2022 we were able to do this. And I'm like, well, it's been 3 years since the last one. I wonder if people are still wanting to do this.
Which is funny, because had it been in 2021, I probably would have shown up. In 2022, I just had my second child.
Yeah.
August was born in May of 2022. So
yeah, brand new, really. So yeah, by July, yeah, I get it 100%. And I mean, we missed you, of course, but like, I totally get that. And I was like, I wanted it to be a goodbye. Like I wanted to have a proper goodbye. I did not want it to take a road of like, oh, it just faded off. I wanted there to be something special. I wanted to reach out to all the guys, being like, hey, come on in one more time, and we'll close all the stories that we can, and we'll wrap it all up in a bow, and we'll all just celebrate together, like all united, like the whole plan was from the very beginning. So I was really hoping that a bunch of people like from who haven't been here in a long time were going to show up for the finale, and some did, but and it was a great show. It was probably my favorite one that we did because it was really cool. It was a lot of fun to do that one. It used to be a 2-day event.
Didn't you have pyro for that one?
Well, we had pyro at Union 10. I spent like I spent a lot of money on pyro.
I don't know. I was in the fucking hospital, so
yeah. I had pyro for that one, and then we had pyro for the last one too. I didn't bring them for that one. Somebody else brought the fireworks. But just like at 10, they fucked up and they went off like we have video of it, and they went off like and started hitting people, and it was insane. We never had good luck with fireworks, so we didn't do a lot of pyro, and that's a good thing.
We didn't have a good luck with fire in general.
Yeah. But of course, also what happened was around the COVID time, late 2019, I started losing feeling in my hands. And I was just like, man, because I was feeling pretty beaten up, like I was saying, but just everything was just getting worse. And I'm like, what is going on here, And I noticed every now and then it would just feel like hot water was being poured down my arms. And I was just like, I don't know what's happening. This is weird. Okay. And I realized it was because every time I looked up, I would look up and I would feel that. I'm just like, all right, I don't understand what this is about. So I went to the doctor and I got checked out. And they told me, they were just like, man, like your C5-6 in your neck is just mangled. This is bad. So they showed me my C3 to C7 is all just banged up, but my 5-6 was so engorged that, like, I'm not sure if you know what an MRI looks like the imaging, but at my C5-6, it was so compressed and bulging that there was no spinal cord fluid along the sides of it. It was like it was changing. It was supposed to be black, but it was gray because like all was being pinched off.
Didn't you have something very similar to stupid neck?
Stupid neck?
That's the term used for it. Stupid neck. Yeah, but it's what Copeland had.
Okay, yes, yeah, we can call it that. Sure, I never called it that before, but
that I used to listen to Edge and Christian's podcast all the time, and that's the term he would use for it. He called it stupid.
Okay,
neck. Yeah.
All right, let's call it that. So I was just like, well, what can we do about this? And they were just like, you need this fixed because this numbness in your hands is going to start going up your arms. It's going to go down your legs. It's going to start shutting your body down, and you're going to die. So I was just like, oh, well, okay. So what can we do? They said, well, we're going to get you in for an urgent fusion surgery. So they brought me in, and they went through the throat, and they moved the vocal cords over and everything, and then they dig down to where they got to. They chipped out whatever they needed to. They bolted in what they needed to, and thankfully it was a success. I had an MRI recently. I got them done annually, and it's still a very stable condition, which is great. But I was told, because my C3-7 was messed up, that my next fusion is going to have to be my. I almost hate to say this in front of kids, but it's my 6C7, like C6-7 or whatever. Like I messed it up, but you know what I mean. So whenever I talk about my injury, my kids are doing this fucking thing, and then I'm just I don't want to talk about it with them. But yeah. So
a couple balls in their fucking hands.
Might as well.
Frickin' kids.
Frickin' kids. So yeah, like we knew that I was going to need a fusion on it eventually. My most recent MRI that says that right now it's herniated. So I wasn't too sure if I'd be able to do something about that because we were worried that surgery was going to be next. And if surgery is next, then that means that the last recovery was rough. This would be even worse because they can't go through the throat again because of all the scar tissue. They're going to have to go through the back, which is a much more painful. It's a worse surgery.
I've heard going in the back is very painful.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. We now this is extremely interesting. I want to get back to this, but we're missing a big thing here, and because we're coming to the end of the show, we can't not talk about this. Before this comes around, you get involved back in the pro scene.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned before how UBWA was able to have a pro ring. Well, the
Yeah.
reason they were able to have a pro ring is because you became close with a promoter who gave you
Yeah.
a second chance at the Indies.
That's
Please
right.
talk
Yeah.
about how you got back involved with North End Wrestling. Now, before
Okay.
you tell your story, I do want to give a little bit of history here
Sure.
because for me personally, coming up in the North Bay area, I want to give props to somebody because for the longest time, the North Bay area was booked by a guy named Adam Miller.
Yes.
And motherfucker, that guy put on shows.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody in North Bay I wanted to fucking backhand more than that. Me and him, oil and water. Me and him did not get along. But God,
Yeah.
do I
I
miss him now
remember.
that he's gone. But now that he's done, that he has unfortunately passed away. I remember the day he died. And I sat there and I thought, I feel like Batman if Joker died.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be happy about it. You know, I look back now and my memories about Adam aren't what they were. Like I always thought him with this arrogant little prick. I look back now and I think about the shows that he booked. God damn,
Yeah.
that the guy could book some shows. He booked some of my
He.
favorite indie shows that I ever went to.
Yeah.
So when Adam passed away, there was a Golden Wrestling. So Smash Wrestling came through North Bay for a while,
Yeah.
and Smash didn't last long in that territory.
No.
All of a sudden, there's no wrestling in North Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Can you? I don't know how much you know about how this started, but how did Dan Jarrus come through and say, "I'm going to restart North End," because North End
Okay.
Wrestling is not a new thing. North End Wrestling was something that was going on decades ago. How did this start?
Northland
Do you
Wrestling
know?
Enterprises.
Yeah.
Northland Wrestling Enterprises was back in the day. Yeah, it was from my understanding, from what I was told. So this is all coming from like what I was told. Um, Adam Miller passed away. Of course, we all knew him as Wheels. He, of course, very detrimental to the North Bay wrestling scene. And Smash Wrestling, the last one that came through, Dan and Adam kind of did it together.
Yeah.
So for the next one though, like before it could happen, Adam had passed, and Dan wanted Smash Wrestling to come in and do like a tribute show.
Yeah.
And I was told that Smash Wrestling said that they would do a 10 bell salute at the beginning, but that was it. They wouldn't do like a whole show around it.
Right.
And Dan was like, well, Dan felt that in North Bay, especially, like, you know, there should be a show for him. And I guess Smash didn't really agree with that. And Dan was like, well, then maybe we should just do something on our own. So the ring that he used to wrestle in like 20 years prior down south came for sale for a very decent price. So he kind of just went on a wing and went down and bought it and bought everything with it and brought it up. He goes, I own a ring. And then as I'm like, well, you have a ring now, and we're talking about doing a show, and I go in Memorial for Wheels because I met Dan at the end of a Smash Wrestling show because he did an after party, and my buddy Taylor, well, you know Taylor, we were the only two to show up to the after party. So of course, I know nobody else showed up to the after party except for me and Taylor.
Very strange. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking with the guys. Dan comes over to talk to us to thank us, and I was Ray Malice back then, and he knew who I was, and we started shooting the shit, and he was just like he wanted to make North Bay a wrestling town again, and then when Smash decided to not want to do a whole thing for Adam, Dan was like, well, I want to do this for Adam. So I was like, well, he was a buddy of mine. So I was just like, is there any way I can be a part of this? I haven't wrestled a match in 5 years. But is there any way I can be a part of this? And at first he was just like, so it was
really
okay.
only 5 years?
I did one match, a tag match for my trainer, because he invited me to a show that I was actually able to go to one time, and it was going to be me and his partner's student versus two of his new students. It was supposed to be me and Jack Floyd Jr. It was supposed to be two of Thorne's old students versus his two new students, and we were going to put them over. And so we ended up going down there to put them over, and it was one match I was able to do, and that was my first match in like 3 years. So technically there was like an 8-year gap, but I had one in the middle somewhere.
Sure.
But so when this was happening, I was just like, anybody can be a part of this. And at first he was like, no, and he was just like, I've never seen you work. Like, I've heard of you, but like I never seen you work. And I was just like, okay. So then he had the ring all set up that he bought. So I got into it and I started running the ropes and bumping and jumping around. He's like, okay, clearly you've been trained. Like, he can tell. So he was just like, well, let me give it some thought and we'll see what we can do. So I'm now being like, man, this would be so cool, because like if I had a local thing, like I'm a single dad, and I don't travel. So like, I mean, if there was wrestling that was local, then I'd be able to get back into it, right? So he was just like, we want to do this thing. So he wanted to start his own. He wanted to bring back Northland wrestling. So like he reached out to the people, like I guess the descendants or whatever of like the originals, and was just like, with your permission, we'd like to continue Northland wrestling. They gave him the permission, and Dan had said to me, as he's doing all this, he wants to put all this together, and he was like, I can really use a guy like you on my team. And I was just like, well, who's all on this team? And he goes, well, right now it's just you and me and you. So I was just like, okay, well, I might know some people. So I went into the UBWA Facebook group. It's a secret group. You can only see it if you're in the group.
Yeah.
And I was going through it, and some of the guys, I'm like, some of these guys can do this. So I basically just poached some UBWA guys and brought them to Northland for Dan, and we just kind of never talked about the UBWA. It was just like, oh yeah, these are guys I know. And then we just went and did this. And Dan, it was kind of like, you can tell we all seemed to know what we were doing. Everything was going really smoothly for wrestling. It was like, oh, this is good, So he ended up finally agreeing to put me on the show, but he kind of didn't really have a lot of faith in me at first. So it was going to be like, all right, so you haven't wrestled a match in like 5 years. So you're going to go out there. We're going to put you against Justin Sane, who awesome talent, this guy.
First of all, you're like, oh, he didn't have any faith in me, but he puts you up against one of my favorite Ontario talents. I love Justin Sane. He's
such a good dude too.
Fantastic.
Like he was so great.
Absolutely.
And the only picture that I seen of him though was on the poster, and he looked like a monster. And I was just like, oh, I'm gonna get killed out there. So something that had eluded me through my entire career at that point was I've never wrestled in my hometown. Professionally, I never wrestled in my hometown. I never wrestled in front of my children, and I never wrestled on TV. And I did all three of those at that first Northland show on October 1st, 2016. It's a 10-year anniversary this year. So what ended up happening was, as I was getting ready for that comeback and training for it, 2 months before the show, my dad died. And he also passed in July, the 27th. So like my brother and my dad both passed around July. That was in 2016. Since we were still doing Wrestle Union at the time, the weekend would always be somewhere between the 18th and 27th or on them. Like it was the thing that helped get me through. But I was still also at this time like working with Northland and doing these shows, and UBWA Wrestle Union was once a year, but like we were doing these shows every few months, and that's where a lot of my focus was going. And we kept it from Dan for the longest time, and then when my dad passed away, I don't know, I just kind of, a lot of stuff, I don't know, man, you go through weird shit when you lose people, right? So Dan sends me a message because he wanted to start the company. He wanted to make a Northland Wrestling Championship, the Canada North title. So he reached out to me and he just goes, hey, Ray, Blake told me that he had made a championship for you before. Can I come by and see it? And I'm just like, I've never told him about the UWA stuff before, right? And my buddy Blake is one of the UWA guys that I had brought in. Yeah. And I was just like, oh shit, like I don't feel comfortable about this at all. So he showed up to the house and I hand it to him and he's looking at it and he's just, it's really nice, And he goes, well, what's this UBWA and all these different logos? What's all this? So I'm just like, all right, I might as well tell him. So I told him, from, like 1997, the short version though. And he reacted with, that sounds really awesome. If I would have known about that, I probably would have wanted to come out and check that out. And I showed him some videos.
Which he eventually did.
He did, because Wrestle Union 9 had happened, and I was covered in bruises, and he had no idea why I was covered in bruises. And then when he finally figured it all out, he felt like a dumbass. And he was just like, how did I not know this is all happening like right in front of him? He had no idea. But when he's seen the videos and he was watching it, he's just like, this seems like a lot of fun. And then he was just like, that's the ring you have, like the ring that I built, right? And he just goes, well, tell you what, if you'd like, you can use my ring for the next one, which the next one was going to be Wrestle Union 10. So I was just like, well, that's going to be a big special event. So like, we're going to have a pro ring, a ring that guys like Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Edge, Tito Santana, Earthquake, a bunch of like legends have wrestled in this ring, and we're going to have it for WrestleMania 10. That's fucking awesome.
Plus they had the ring apron from the fucking power plant.
Yeah, right. Like that's insane to think that we had that. The first ring we had, it was just a couple of mattresses and some carpet put over top of it. Mm-hmm. And then we have this kick-ass ring, I
wish I would have mentioned that too. We had Sick Boy on the show a few weeks ago, and Sick Boy was talking about his time at the power plant. I wish I would have thought to mention to him. By the way, I wrestled on the same fucking canvas that you did.
Yeah. So I know we have to kind of wrap things up here soon too. I know because we're kind of talking. This will happen. We'll talk for hours, you and I.
Oh yes.
But yeah. So when it comes to the Northland thing, was there something else you wanted to hit on? Like there was topics you wanted to get to?
So this was going to end with me asking how your career ended, but you already hit the spot about the C4 or about your neck injuries.
There is a bit more.
My big question before we leave.
Yeah.
I have two questions.
Okay.
One is, and I'm not going to ask the stupid question because that's a stupid question. You already know what the stupid question is. I won't ask the stupid question.
I like stupid questions.
The smart question is, what is Ray Beauchamp's place in professional wrestling 2026 moving on?
So I have to go back a little bit for this, unfortunately, again. So after I get that news from my doctor, I'm like, well, I can't bump anymore or anything like that, right? Like, this is bad. The doctor said that I can die. So I was just like, well, I don't want to do that. So I'd rather do what I got to do here. So I called up Dan. We met up. I showed him the papers the doctors gave me, and he read them over. And his exact words were like, holy hell, are you looking to get into the Northland Hall of Fame or something? Because it was just like the stuff that the doctors, like this note, it was bad. Like, it was serious. And he was just like, well, we'll have to figure out something to keep you on the show. Like, people really want to see you still. So like, we'll have to do something. So we'll have to make you GM. So I was just like, oh, okay, sure. So we make the plan, and I come out as Northland GM. And I'm not really much of I'm not a good talker. I know that. I talk fast, I mumble, and I've never been a promo guy. So like, as a general manager, you're all promo, right? So I'm not. It's not my strong suit, but I'm still part of the show. I'm still excited to be there. I was still a very big part of Northland becoming a thing, and becoming what it was for years pre-COVID. So like, the idea of still being able to be a part of it was special to me. And then Dan was doing our retirement thing, where it was his last match against one of his students, and then he was going to go back to doing the authority character, so he wouldn't need me as the GM anymore. He didn't tell anybody else this. He told me this at my door when I asked him when he was here to drop off some tickets. Like, I was just like, anything you want me to do with this show? And he just goes, no, at this show is going to be the last one where you're the GM, because after this match is done, I'm going back to that. So I was just like, oh, okay, well, that's too bad, but all right. Hey, man. And we go to the show. It's my last one as GM, and Dan loses the match. And after the match is done, a storyline starts happening that really shows this is not going to be his last match. And I'm sitting there just like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know what's happening here. And then we never ended up talking about it after that. But he just kind of continued on. I was never used. He just did everything, and then we just went under the rug like it never happened. Like, it just kind of like, there were people that would keep asking me, aren't you the GM? And I'm like, no, he removed me over a year ago. He just never told anybody. And he didn't make it part of anything. So I don't know the reason why that happened. I know that I'm not like a promo guy, right? So like, I mean, maybe I'm just not the role that he wants for that. And it's like, okay, that's cool. But I did love doing it, but I did not dream for years of becoming a general manager at a wrestling company, right? So,
Nobody does. Yeah.
yeah. So the news from the doctors really, really messed me up. But I had spoken with some people and like for I didn't speak directly to DDP myself, but Dan had reached out to DDP on my behalf and mentioned my story to him, and he gave a schedule of what he thinks I should do and a program. So I did DDPY for a long time. I trimmed down. I got in probably the best shape I've been in. Like I'm in better shape than I was during my Northland run. I trimmed down. I lost about 44 pounds. My flexibility is good to the point that the doctors were very surprised. And my neurosurgeon that I have now is very surprised at my flexibility and my mobility at this point because I've been taking care of myself. I use a Bowflex. I keep active. Yeah, I'm a little more careful with how I eat. Like just trying to take better care of myself. And I noticed that the itch never goes away, right? Like it never does. Once you're a wrestler, you're a wrestler, So I see all this stuff. Like I see all these people out there. I see all this stuff happening, and then I see like, I'm like, you know what, man? Like, I mean, I know that I can't go out there and take a bunch of back bumps anymore, but like, I can still do stuff, man. Like, I mean, I'm on the Bowflex. I'm out walking. I'm like, I can still throw up. I still throw a damn good work punch. Let me tell you, So like, I can still do something. So I pitched an idea to Dan, and this would have been for Conquest 6 because he was wanting to sell over 600 tickets for Conquest 6. And he did without me doing anything for it. So like that's awesome. But he was really trying to figure something out to make it really big. So I was just like, hey man, I have an idea. Can I pitch it to you? And he just goes, so what's your idea? And it was just something simple for me to get in and like just do one quick move, like a super kick or whatever, and like just something moment for me to have. One of my favorite wrestling moments that just seems kind of weird to everybody else would be like WrestleMania 18 when Arn Anderson hits Taker with the spine buster out of nowhere. Like, do you remember that moment?
Yeah.
Fucking awesome moment. And I was just like, I want that. So I was just like, something like that. And his response was like, well, I already figured it out. I already have it all written up. So no. However, he was like, I'm going to bring back the Golden Royal Cup tournament. And I was just like, oh, okay. Because that's where I always shined, right? Every Miller Cup show, I was in a championship story. I was like Mr. Memorial Cup, he had said. So I was like, okay, well, if we're gonna do something cool, we should save it for then. And then, unfortunately, one of our Northland crew, one of our guys, sadly passed away. And so Dan did a tribute show for him and made a new trophy for him. And I'm not saying that that's oh, that sucks or whatever, right? Like it's our buddy Lloyd, and Lloyd's a good dude, and I think this is something special, and I appreciate that it's there for sure. But of course, that kind of swept all the Miller Memorial Cup stuff out of the way because that became the focus every year of the tournament for Lloyd. And the talk of me doing something kind of just went out the window. And every time I'd say to Dan, hey, man, we got 12 minutes. Can I talk to you about something? He'd say, like, yeah, okay. But then, like, nothing would come from it. And it's literally been like a couple of years, and he won't hear me out. Maybe part of it is because he knows that my neck is bad and he doesn't want to take any kind of risk, maybe. But I know not everybody knows my Facebook and stuff like that, but like I've put on my gear and I look better in it now than I did when I was wrestling, I got to tell you. I'm in the ring. I'm running ropes. I'm running around the ring. I even shoulder blocked somebody not long ago just to kind of see how it felt. And
I pay attention to all of it. I've seen it. Yeah.
And it felt good. Like I'm not saying that it felt like I can go up there and do what I used to do. I can't do what I used to do. I know that, and that really sucks because I wish the Northland crowd got to see kind of shit that I did at like wrestling. Like when I had the cuffs off, like that's the kind of stuff that I wish they could have seen. Maybe now it'll be more like it'll be out there more now because I'm talking about it all. But I want to do something. This is the 10-year anniversary this year of Northland coming back and me making my comeback, after everything. And I want to do something fucking cool this year. I need to have one more Ray Beauchamp moment on a pro show at some point this year. And I've talked to a few different people, but nothing is set in stone yet. But I've been talking to some people, and I'm trying to do something because, like I said, I don't want to go out there and shit the bed. I don't want to go out there and look bad. I don't want to ruin a show or anything like that. It would have to be something cool. So I know that going out there and being like, okay, let me do a one-on-one with somebody and just not. I can't do that. It wouldn't look
Yeah.
good. But there's things that I know I can do, and I want to be able to do it still while I can because I'm one of the lucky people that's able to do physiotherapy within my condition. Not everybody can, but it turns out I'm able to. So I'm going to do physiotherapy so I can get this neck herniated thing a little bit, better. And and ultimately I've been working hard because not only do I want a better quality of life, but I really want one more Ray Beauchamp moment out there.
I think we all do. And me personally, I want one because I've never gotten to see you live. I've never been able to, and it's one of those things where you don't know what you got till it's gone. I never was. Every show I said, oh, I'll go to the next. I'll travel up for the next one. I'll travel up for the next one, and all of a sudden there is no next one.
It just happens.
And unfortunately, it took the passing of our very good friend James for me to realize that we're at an age where there might not be a whole lot of next ones. So to the listeners, I tell you, don't wait for the next one. You have a chance for something, go for it. Take those chances. Now, Ray, you are 100% in the dark of this. We do let it go home on this because to the fans, I will apologize for the quality issues that we've been having. If you are hearing what I'm hearing, I apologize. We will try to fix this in post. Ray, we will try to get you back for a part 2 because there's more that we haven't talked about. And this is a list show, so I want to get you on. We're going to do some lists because one thing that you and I, what made us as close friends as we are, is our love of professional wrestling. So we got to get you on, and we got to talk. We're not going to talk about us. We're not going to talk about backyard and our careers. We're going to talk about professional wrestling. So part 2 coming up. We got to talk about some what we love about pro wrestling, and we'll do a list together. That sounds like some fun to me.
Yeah, me too, man. Sounds like a lot of fun. I'd love to do that.
But thank you for getting so candid and so personal on this podcast.
And I've never talked about a lot of this stuff publicly.
I know you have it,
and it's been a lot of years. It's almost like a coming out in a sense. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it feels good now that it's out there. And,
100%, 100%. Well, I'll say this again off air, but I'll say it on there. Man, I love you to death. You know that. You are my brother. You are my closest friends. This coming July, it'll be 28 years that you and I have been like blood. No. That's insane to me. We are old motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Old people. We are old people. Some of us still have hair, but we are both old.
We got the same tattoo on our hearts, man.
That's 100%. Until next week, my friends, we will bring Ray Beauchamp back on this show. We will talk some more professional wrestling with Ray Beauchamp. But until then, you have been counted out.